Precigen is currently trading at $4.32, and we already know that PAPZIMEOS, their treatment, has been approved by the FDA. And so PAPZIMEOS launched with a broad label in the US as the first and only FDA-approved treatment for adults with RRP. And Precigen have a significant competitive advantage and first mover advantage as well. But there's another company snapping at their heels called Inovio, which you can see here is trading at $2.28. We can see this press release dated here from November the 3rd, 2025. Inovio completes rolling BLA submission seeking accelerated approval for INO-3107 as a treatment for RRP in adults. Inovio's treatment, INO-3107, previously received Orphan Drug and Breakthrough Therapy designations, with the BLA submitted under FDA's Accelerated Approval Program. And they expect to receive file acceptance by year-end 2025 with potential PDUFA date in mid-2026 if request for priority review is granted. And so this means that Inovio's BLA has already been submitted to the FDA. It's a critical catalyst for the SCOT, which could see it skyrocket. The next step is the file acceptance, where the FDA will formally confirm they will review the application for the treatment INO-3107. And so that's one of the major catalysts coming up. Obviously, then there's the confirmation of the PDUFA date, which could all see the share price kind of skyrocket even more. And those are kind of two of the major catalysts on top of that, with the potential approval of the treatment, which again could see the share price skyrocket even further. And so, like I said, there is an opportunity to get in on the stock at the moment with potentially 3 catalysts coming up, and an opportunity to enter right now, knowing full well that if everything goes well, you know, we could be seeing this treatment get approved by the FDA too. And if the FDA grant priority review for Inovio, the PDUFA date would land in and around mid-2026. And so the PDUFA date is the date the FDA will make an official decision on whether to approve Inovio's new treatment for RRP, INO-3107. And so for Precigen, this means they have a further 6 to 7 months to continue the commercial rollout of their RRP treatment, PAPZIMEOS. And this is before Inovio will even have a chance of potentially having their equivalent treatment approved by the FDA. We can see with Precigen today, over 100 patients have been registered in the PAPZIMEOS Patients Hub. The Patient Hub is essentially Precigen support and access program for patients who are considering using the PAPZIMEOS treatment. Essentially, it's a system that facilitates access to PAPZIMEOS for patients and for doctors alike. Most rare disease gene advanced therapy launches like Precigen's PAPZIMEOS, they typically only aim for about 20 to 50 patients. Getting 100 patients registered into the PAPZIMEOS Patient Hub within months is very, very impressive. It's a strong indication of early adoption, and it kind of shows that Precigen are well ahead of Inovio in terms of the competition and in terms of capitalizing on this first mover advantage. And this is a dream scenario for Phil Tennant, who is PGEN's Chief Commercial Officer. Rapid commercial launch execution is underway with over 90% of target institutions engaged since full deployment of a sales team in September. And so typically 60 to 70% of engagement is considered very, very strong. And so looking at this 90%, again, it kind of underlines this first mover advantage that Precigen are really capitalizing on this 7-month window that they have compared with Inovio, who still don't have their treatment for the equivalent disease, you know, RRP, is yet to be approved. Precigen has made significant progress with private health insurance coverage too, with more than 100 million lives covered to date, with PAPZIMEOS now available through Medicare and Medicaid. Government initiatives designed to improve affordability and access to medical treatments for the US public, which in turn help to increase the sales of PAPZIMEOS in this case, simply because it makes it more accessible to people too. PAPZIMEOS is now commercially available, and the commercial product is actually shipping to prescribers in the US for the treatment of adults with RRP. Rapid commercial launch execution is underway with full deployment of the sales team in September. And Randall Kirk, the majority shareholder of Precigen, who I've documented in a number of different videos on this channel when Precigen was trading at $1, thrives under this competition. You know, this competition with Inovio, who are snapping on their heels, is exactly why they're executing on this strategy so aggressively. The Precigen team, led by Helen Sabsavari and Phil Tennant, are moving fast to capture patients, doctors, and the payers, the insurance companies too, in order to capitalize on this 7-month window that they have compared to Inovio, who don't yet have their equivalent treatment approved by the FDA. And in November, the company submitted a marketing authorization application to the European Medicines Agency for Zupapogene imadinovec, which is the official scientific name for PAPZIMEOS. And so this is significant as well, simply because it opens up the PAPZIMEOS treatment to the EU market too, which again just opens up the commercial opportunity here too. In 2023, the EU4, so Germany, France, Italy and the United Kingdom, reported a total of approximately 6,204 diagnosed prevalent cases of RRP. And so getting the approval in Europe would open up the opportunity to a further 30 or 40%, with thousands more patients seeking the access to PAPZIMEOS to help treat their RRP. And it's worth considering that the PAPZIMEOS treatment costs $115,000, with a typical expense totaling approximately $460,000 for the first 12-week course of the treatment. And so in a hypothetical scenario where PAPZIMEOS were approved and fully adopted by all of those 6,240 diagnosed RRP patients in the EU4, this opens up a potential opportunity in the EU alone of roughly 2.87 billion. Now it's unlikely that Precigen will capture the full market for their PAPZIMEOS treatment, so the 6,240 diagnosed patients, but it serves as an indication of the potential commercial opportunity for Precigen by getting into Europe and getting the approval for the treatment in the EU. And so from a commercial standpoint, things are also looking good for Precigen too. They have cash and cash equivalents of 123.6 million as of September 30th, 2025. They've entered into a credit facility that provides up to 125 of non-dilutive funding and received the first tranche of $100 million too. Again, great news for shareholders that the funding is non-dilutive. Precigen have around $120 million of liquidity, which gives them meaningful runway, with management explicitly stating that this is expected to fund the company's operations to cash flow break even. And so management have confirmed they don't see the need for dilution so long as sales for PAPZIMEOS ramp up as predicted. And looking at the info they provided here, which I mentioned earlier, that PAPZIMEOS is now available in shipping to prescribers in the US. They have these 100 patients that have already been registered into the PAPZIMEOS patient hub with 100 million lives covered to date, and PAPZIMEOS now available through Medicare and Medicaid, which is a significant win, and the full deployment of sales teams in September with over 90% of target institutions engaged. This shows that the commercial spending for the go-to-market strategy for PAPZIMEOS has already peaked. They're not expecting more costs related to this expansion or to the sales strategy or to the go-to-market strategy for PAPZIMEOS. And assuming that this execution goes as it should, based on the information we've been provided, they're expecting break even for the company, which again is an indication that they're transitioning into this profit-making company. They've managed this kind of big major pivot, if you like, from a company that has no treatments to one that is an FDA treatment approved, and they're now ramping up the sales to make it a commercially viable company. And so naturally, I'll keep you updated with Precigen and all of the other stocks that I follow on this channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Take care.